Yeah, and part of that is kind of that switching of guard. Is we had a lot of artists um who I love very dearly, by the way. Like I've been working with them, some of them for 4 years now. And who I, you know, before MetaZoo was even a thing, like I just basically DM'd them on Instagram and I was like, hey, I have this crazy idea. And they're like, yeah, it sounds pretty cool. And we created this amazing game and aesthetic together. But people grow up and they move on, and I think that with the direction that MetaZoo wants to go, which is fewer of these ancillary products, more focus on just the core sets. Um, maybe doing away with a lot of the stuff that is not necessarily kid friendly. Like Seance, I wanted to make a statement with Seance, and we certainly made it. But it's not one of those sets where you can show little Billy who's 8 years old and say,
Right.
have to explain what some of the art means, right?
Sure.
And there's a way of doing cryptid art which is primarily founded in kind of the nitty gritty supernatural without having to really delve into the gore of it all, right? And we're trying to find that balance. But for some of our artists, that change was not ideal.
Hmm.
The other thing that we want to do is we really, really want to expand the art team. And if you look at Pokemon, if you look at Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh, they had their original artists, and then some of them moved on, and then every set they would have artists come in and do 4 or 5 cards, and so the art contest that we're doing now is kind of a tribute to that line of thinking, which is, hey, we have 20 or 30 artists, all who do unique styles. And we have a lot of famous artists that are also reaching out that want to do, 2 or 3 cards a set, for instance. And, of course, if you're one of those artists where, you've been with MetaZoo since the beginning, it's difficult to see those changes. And so, I'm very sympathetic to that change, or the changes that we're undergoing, kind of being jolting, or not being how they want to live the next few years of their lives, and then wanting to seek out different directions, right? And like and I'm totally willing to, and I've told them this as well. The door is always open if they ever want to come back. Like I've written letters of recommendations for them as they seek new jobs. So there's very little, from what I've been communicated, very little bad blood um, or negative thinking associated with the departures. They just happen to, I think, come as a shock to the community, but very, very standard happenings. I think in the life cycle of a TCG once you get past that 2 year mark.